You sometimes think, I don't care about the others, I want out. But my family and my friends kept me holding on, and it helped me a lot just for the bad days to hold on for them. When I finally get better, I need to find reasons to live for myself.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough, and when we do talk about it, many of us, including me, well, we're not very good at it. So one of my goals with this podcast is to continue to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with attempt survivors. If you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to talk, please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com, on Facebook or Twitter @suicidenoted. Check the show notes. We've got some additional information I want to share with you. Another way you can reach out to us via a recorded message, an upcoming storytelling open mic called the Mental Health Happy Hour, ways in which we can collaborate, which can include presenting at your campus or your organization or in your community. We're actually doing a live podcast in person like we did with NAMI NC a couple of months ago. We're looking for sponsors, so if you're somebody who wants to help us out in that way, please reach out. And we're also about to launch a subscription-based membership. Now, again, if you listen to this podcast every week or whenever you do, that won't change. But we're adding some additional things like exclusive monthly events and Ask Me Anything and some discounts on merch that'll be coming up in the spring and some special episodes. I will be sharing more and more about that in the coming days and weeks. I would love your support. We need the help as we try to reach more people in more places to help them feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. However you support and participate, we really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Now, of course, as always, we're talking about suicide on this podcast. It may not be a good fit for everyone, so take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Dennis. Dennis lives in Germany, and he is a suicide attempt survivor. Hey, Dennis.
What's up?
How you doing?
Doing fine.
You live in Germany, correct?
Yeah, right. Near Bonn.
Near Bonn. Okay.
Yeah.
And you reached out and you want to talk about the S word? Really? Who does that?
Normal people unfortunately don't, but here we are, I guess.
That's right. Kind of like the way you frame that. Normal people don't talk about this. Where are you on the normal spectrum?
Yeah, I talk about my feelings. I talk openly about when I feel bad to my friends. Yeah, I try to feel feelings. That's not that common around here in Germany. People like to bury themselves in work, for example. So that's kind of normal. You go up the ladder, the job ladder, and try to be as successful as you can. That's life for them. They work to 70 and then make themselves a good life. But while working, that's not possible.
And that's a common thing. That's a German way of life to some degree.
Yeah, right around here, there's a lot of that. People not talking openly about their emotions.
Right.
People disliking anything that is other than the norm. It's a bit hard to define that, but...
Yeah, I get that. But you said you have some friends that you talk to, and I imagine if you're talking to them, they're talking with you. So there are some people who are talking about their feelings.
The younger generation is a bit more open about that. I have a lot of people I can openly talk to about when I feel very, very suicidal or shitty in general.
How old are you, may I ask?
22.
22 in Germany. Interesting, Dennis. Well, I'm glad that we connected and you're open and talking about it. Why were you putting the word suicide into Spotify, Apple, some other platform?
Yeah, Spotify. Yeah, I tried to call the helpline when I felt suicidal. And problem with that is they can help you in the moment. Sure, they try to bring you out of the mood being suicidal and try to get you help. But the person on the other side doesn't know what you're feeling. They got briefed. They know what to say when people call, and
Sometimes.
they don't really understand you. That was the thing why I searched for it, for people to talk about, people that understand, that maybe felt the pain. Yeah, we sometimes have.
Got it. Do you have any people in your life, like physically in your area, that you can talk to about stuff like this?
I have my cousin who I'm very close with. I can talk to about anything really. Our family is a bit stuck up, if you want to call it like that. Everybody is working and looking out only for themselves and trying to climb the ladder, and feelings get left behind.
That's right. I mean, there's only so much room we have for other stuff when you're hustling so hard. It's just math. Are you a student? Are you working? Something else?
I'm working right now. I'm in training for IT.
Dennis, you gonna climb that ladder yourself, or are you gonna do something else?
Actually, I'm already sick and tired of working 5 days a week. Maybe like 4 days or something. I'm gonna try to get a decent job, make a living, but I don't wanna do overtime.
Right. I imagine with IT though, you have some flexibility. You can contract, you can freelance a little bit. There's probably some other stuff as opposed to the kind of job where you really have to be there for a set number of hours.
And you can work remote. That's also very, very cool.
Yeah. Do you recall in your life the first time that you started to have any kind of suicidal thoughts or ideation?
That was 8th, 9th grade in Germany. It's maybe like 14, 15 years old. I was bullied in school a bit, called gay, or I was very, very shy and didn't talk to a lot of people, was called gay because I don't know how I acted, but girly to my friends sometimes. And I was picked on a lot. And that was basically the first signs of depression started showing up.
How'd you deal with that? Do you remember? How'd you cope? Because that could be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, I tried to just fit in. I tried to hang out with cool kids. I tried to fit in, and in the end, I didn't know who I was at the end, so I abandoned my personality completely. I tried so hard to fit in that I didn't know who I was.
Did that change at all, or do you still feel that way?
No, I changed a lot since then. I going to training in IT and so on. I grew a lot from that. I accepted more of who I am. I don't push it away.
Yeah,
and I try to make the best of it. I follow my interests that I have as best as I can. And
so when you were 15 or 14, 15, 16, and then you were in all that, like, do you have an attempt, or are you just a near attempt or ideating?
I had an attempt. It was this year in June.
So if you started thinking about it more or less like 14, 15, it ends there. You don't do anything more than thinking about it. In that time before the attempt, did you ever get kind of close? Like, let's say planning or whatever that might have looked like?
For me, it's always very impulsive. So when I drive my car, I ride my motorcycle. There were moments where if I don't make this pass or pass another car, then I don't care. So I just didn't care. I put it up for chance.
I hear that sometimes with people, particularly, driving cars and motorcycles. It's like kind of an attempt. It doesn't matter what we call it, but yeah, like fuck it.
Yeah. It's hard to define. I was thinking about that, if I should call it an attempt, but I think if you put your life up for chance, it's damn close to being an attempt.
Hell yeah. And is that what we're talking about with June of 2022, or is that something different?
That was something completely different.
As best you can sort of put words to it, I imagine that when you attempt, and I know you said it's kind of impulsive, so it might be a little different for you though, stuff is happening that's leading to the attempt. It might be an hour before, it might be a year before. So what's changing in your life, if you know, that leads up to June 2022, if anything?
In 2019, I went to school normally, got a little better in between. The depression came sometimes, pulled me down a bit, but I could live my life normally. Yeah, function basically. Didn't think of it as the best life, but I could function. I had fun a bit. In 2019, my mom died of cancer. That was very traumatic. Yeah, me and my brother were told that my mom is ill, but not the extent of it. So we were told that she has cancer, but that chemo could treat the cancer. What we didn't know that my mom was basically she was taking chances. The chance of healing was like 5%. I don't know if I would have tried, but she tried even though it made no sense anymore. So at the beginning it was like 5%, and then the cancer spread in the body. So the chances got even slimmer, and she still did chemo. So it was harder to talk to her. She was, it's got hard to talk to her. She forgot many things. She slept all the time. And so she tried to hold on to life so hard that she the last months we could have had with her, she basically destroyed that herself with chemo. There was almost no chance of healing, and she still pulled through chemo. And me and my brother didn't know how bad it was. Yeah, we went there. We were told focus on school, try to live your normal life.
Yeah, right.
They wanted to protect us, obviously. We can't hide the truth. And in the end, it caught up to us. One evening, we were called by my uncle, and he told me that we have to drive to my mom. And we drove there. She was already on the station where dying patients were brought. She lay there. Like, we couldn't talk to her. Her eyes were closed. She was barely even resembling my mother. It was so fucking hard this evening to look at her like that, and just out of nothing be told that your mom is now dead and gone, and you cannot tell her anything anymore. You can't talk to her anymore. You can't tell her I made my A levels, for example, or I got a job. That's very hard to this day.
Yeah, man, for sure. Whew. You had referenced that as sort of turning point that ultimately leads to June of 2022.
Yeah.
In that time between, and I asked this in part because I'm curious about different cultures or countries' healthcare systems. Was there something available to you? And I don't know if this is something you chose to do, if it were available, obviously, but to get help.
There was, after my mom died, we had to talk to a family counselor, and she gave us first the address of a counselor and some helpful links in the internet. For example, a chat where you could talk to others or to a therapist. There were options, and we took them. So I went in therapy with a child counselor till I was too old. So till 20, I went to the child counselor. And then after that, I had normal therapy for like 6 months. Then I went into a stationary facility. So a hospital, a mental hospital.
So your mom dies, you get therapy, and you get a different kind of therapy. So if you're doing that, and then you end up in a mental hospital, I don't know if that's the right word, but you're not doing well.
No, I'm not.
So in that time, are you, one, still able to go to school? And then two, are you thinking, did the thoughts get more intense, more serious?
The thoughts did really get more intense. I still went to school. I function normally. That seems to be a pattern with me.
Well, you're German, Dennis. You're German.
When I'm depressed, I function, but the thoughts are still there, and they take up a lot of your time. So you're very, very. I'm moody all the time. Basically, I'm angry at people for no reason. I normally went to school, but the thoughts got worse, even though I talked to the therapist.
Did you tell the therapist your thoughts? Those thoughts?
Partially. So I told her when I had the thoughts. She knew how to cope with that. But since she was a child therapist, she told me that I'd better go to the mental hospital and try to get out of my usual environment.
So you went to the hospital you went to was for kids or adults or both?
For both, I think.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed 3 months and
Ooh, all right. You weren't fucking around. You wanted to get some help.
yeah,
Did you want to go there, or did they kind of force you to go there?
I wanted to go there. I was in training. That was 2020 when COVID hit, basically.
Yep.
I started training in August and went to the facility in December.
Training meaning for your IT stuff?
Yeah, right.
Did you tell anybody? Because one of the things we talk about here, it just comes up a lot, is shame. What is the word for shame in German?
Scham, Schande.
All right, we probably stole that from you. I mean, you feeling weird about it? Are you telling people, friends, family? Do they know where you are? Because for some people, that you kind of want to keep that stuff private, right?
But I was very upfront about it with anyone. I think I told my person that's handling recruiting and
All right, HR or something.
human resources.
Yeah. You need to tell your job so you can keep your job, right?
You can basically just call sick in Germany. So the doctor can write you off. Then they get notified. They will know where you are, but not where you are. They will know that you're sick and that you can't commit to the job right now. And that's it basically.
So in the 3 months that you're at the hospital, you probably get on some meds, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience?
It was very good, actually. It was nice to get out of my usual environment because it was very stressful at home. My father didn't really get along with the situation with having to deal with household and such on his own. It was nice to get out of there. The hospital stay was very nice. I could focus on sports. So when I'm depressed, I like to do a lot of sports to get my mind off things. You had therapy, sport therapy.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. What is the first sport you think about playing when you're in a funk?
I didn't really understand the last word. Sorry.
Oh, the funk? It's like when you're feeling shitty. What's the first sport you would think about? Like, I want to play this so I feel hopefully maybe a little better.
I like to play tennis then.
All right, cool.
Because of COVID, there was only like running and gymnastics, or you could go on your swimming was also off limits. So that was very unfortunate. I like swimming a lot. But you could do a lot of therapy, art therapy, so doing stuff with your hands, creating things. That is also what helps a lot when you're depressed, I think. Yeah, and normal therapy sessions with a counselor one time a week. And all in all, you can meet. It's like finding the podcast. You can meet people and talk to them about how they got to the mental hospital, how they feel.
Yeah.
I met a new colleague there also, and yeah, he tried suicide too. Yeah, it was really, this is very, very nice to talk to people that know what you've been through.
For sure.
Just helps feel so much less alone. So
when did you get out of the hospital? That was the middle of 2022 or the beginning of 2021, right?
It was beginning of 2021, right? January 2021.
A year and a half goes by. You go back to work?
Yeah, right. I start work. I'm taking meds now, but I have no counseling. That was a mistake that I made, that I didn't search for counseling right away to continue after the mental hospital. You can do counseling here for free, but finding a place for therapy is very hard. Because there are only limited offers for therapists that work with health insurance. So the health insurance gives out some free spaces, like 8,000 or something, and the others need to be with private insurance or paid for by yourself. That's the problem in Germany, basically. It's nice that it's free for the most part, but it's hard to find a therapist who have like 3 months waiting at least.
Free is good when you're healthy. You know what I mean? When you just have a checkup from time to time, it's great. But when you have a real problem, not so great. And it's the problem here is also, it's just very expensive. So, basically in the States, poor people, they're limited sometimes.
I can't imagine that you're poor and then still have to pay for a mental hospital that doesn't help you. And
yeah, I mean, there's ways with certain programs and certain cases, but it's complicated, and when you're not doing well, and you're trying to fill out 50 pages, you don't do it, right? You just can't do it. So it's tricky. It's really, really tricky. And I think in the States, and I'm sure elsewhere, there's a lot of people who are suffering and falling through the cracks, as we say, because of these little things that add up.
Yeah.
You know, it adds up. So back to your story, you 2021 into 2022. Can you take us to the events preceding and leading up to your attempt?
My father basically got a new girlfriend, and we went with her into holiday to the Netherlands. Yeah, the holiday in general was very good actually. The attempt made it a bit complicated, but one evening we were drinking with people we met there, and they started passing a joint around with my mental stuff. It is very hard for me to combine two drugs, firstly, and I drank a lot at the evening. Then I smoked a joint and basically almost passed out. I didn't talk to a person. I just stared into blank nothingness for half an hour. I went to bed. I think I woke up 1 hour later and didn't know who I was anymore. Completely dissociated. Like I said, my mind went totally blank.
Yeah.
I started walking in the direction of the sea. Yeah, I was on the way to try to drown myself.
Wow. What do you think happened?
Fortunately, the dog we had with us ran away that evening. Or do you mean what happened that I went to the sea?
Yeah, well, I want to hear that also. But like, what do you think happened? Maybe it's just purely chemical. That's a pretty intense response. You know, any ideas? Especially now looking back, you know, you've had a few months.
Yeah, I think when I dissociated, it's hard to explain. My true intentions were revealed basically. I'd call it like hiding behind a mask. When you go out in society, for example, you can't tell everyone that you're in a shitty mood, for example, or that you thought about killing yourself on the way to work. Yeah. I think that got, with the dissociation that got pulled away, everything kind of strengthened the feelings I had just existing. It's hard to explain, I'm sorry.
No. I know it's really hard. And this is not your first language also. Man, I wish I spoke German. We would just bang it out in German. Boom, boom, boom. But your English is great. So what were you saying about the dog?
The dog ran away that evening, and the girlfriend of my brother was near the beach searching for the dog. And she found me like wandering around and crying, screaming.
Wow. Yeah. What'd she do? What'd she say?
I didn't recognize her at first. That was the crazy thing. I didn't know anyone walking around there. I couldn't even tell my brother's face. So crazy experience. Yeah, she took me into her arms and she calmed me down. I first thought she was an employee of the mental hospital that came to put me back in there. Also part of the dissociation.
Sure.
Yeah, and then my brother was also there. She brought me back to my bed. I went to sleep, and the next day I woke up and the world was still normal.
Yeah, right. I'm just always curious about the drowning thing. I don't understand how people drown themselves. Not that you do, because that was just a kind of a weird night.
Yeah.
I don't, and it doesn't sound like you were really thinking about it a lot. You were almost a different person from what you shared.
Yeah.
Intentionally drowning that's a really interesting.
Yeah, I thought about maybe the ocean tides. They were pretty strong there. If you swim far enough and they pull you out, and so
you're not coming back. Probably you're not coming back. So that was in June of 2022. So it's July, August, September, October. So that's 4 or 5 months ago, and that was in Holland, by the way, right?
Right.
So you're on vacation. You come back, and like you said, the next day the world is the same, right? It's just nothing changed, really, not much.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Right. I think, I'm on the same page with you. I wish it would. So at some point you put the word suicide into Spotify, right? You said you were so are you still suicidal? Are you still, as we talk now, or yesterday or last week?
last week, for example, but I'm still suicidal, I think, but I have my ups and downs. It's getting a bit better. The first day I have therapy again, so a new therapy place for me.
Yeah.
And we will see how that plays out.
Yeah. And by the way, when I say this is a language thing, but are you still suicidal? Just to be clear, I was simply asking, are you suicidal now? Still in the English language. It sounds as if there's an assumption that you won't be or you shouldn't be, which is what I'm not asking that. Some people stay suicidal for their entire lives. Some don't. Many don't. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but just so you know, there is no judgment here. You're living at home?
Yep. I got my own place in late 2021 because the situation at home was unbearable for me. The new girlfriend of my father put up many rules. For example, that I have to work on the weekends for them and do chores or work on the house. And my girlfriend can't come under the week, for example, or just obscure rules like that. She wants to control everything and...
Woo! Good. I'm glad you got out of that, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I couldn't anymore. It's just too much.
Yeah. I know why you put the word in to Spotify. Mm-hmm. Once you hear a podcast, and there's an opportunity for this format to actually reach out, what compels you to reach out? There's a lot of people that hear the podcast, they never reach out to me, right? Mm-hmm. But you did. So what's different about you or where you're at right now?
So the podcast is basically a help net for me when I'm when I'm suicidal at work, for example, or on the way to work. I always listen to an episode and feel understood, and I wanted to give that to other people too. I listened to, I think, all episodes.
That's a lot of episodes right now at this point.
Yeah, the first one was actually, I think I found it in 2021.
Okay.
So, I listened to it on a almost weekly basis.
So how often in your typical days, let's use yesterday as an example, or maybe today, because it's evening there now, right? Or late afternoon. Mm-hmm. I know it goes up and down, good days, bad days, but how often are you thinking about it?
It almost depends on how much I can take my mind to things. So if I'm really busy, no time for that. Just when I'm on the way to work with my car, there's a lot of time to think. So to work is almost a ritual to think about that. And coming off work, like I said, when I'm at work, I don't know. It's a daily thing. When I'm have good weeks, there's maybe 1, 2, 3 times, but in a bad week, I think about it almost every hour.
How many people know about that very near attempt?
2 to 3 people.
A few people. Okay.
Yeah. My cousin. Yeah, my neighbor knows about it. He's also my uncle, so I talked to him about it.
Everybody that was in Holland knows about it?
No, so my father and his girlfriend didn't really get anything from that. They knew that I was drunk, that I was a bit passed out, but everything after that.
Did your brother's girlfriend who found you know what was going on? I know at the time you kind of didn't know what was going on either, but did she just assume you were, drunk and high?
She has a bit of a background too, so she comes from a split up mom and dad, and they fought over her and things. So she has always understood me a bit better, and I think she knew that I had some kind of panic attack or was out, and her response was just to tell me that everything is okay, and that really, really helped in the moment.
One thing I'm curious about that you said earlier is when you were struggling in like your teenage years, and I guess it applies to today also. One of the things that I want to always learn more about is what prevents people from taking more action. Because you said if I remember correctly, it was a few years of struggling And I realize that it continues to this day. There was a long period of time when you're thinking about it, but you don't act on it. And I guess my question, I'll finally get to my question here, is I want to better understand how it is that people struggle like that, but don't act. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. For me, it is the people around me already lost one person. So my mom, everybody was very struck by that because she was, the connector of all our families. So she always made plans. She brought everyone together and accepted everyone. And I thought about my grandma and my brother, my father, and that keeps me holding on. It's not very nice to live for other people in that regard. So you sometimes when you are that long suicidal and think about it every day, you sometimes think, I don't care about the others, I want out. But my family and my friends kept me holding on, and it helped me a lot just for the bad days to hold on for them. When I finally get better, I need to find reasons to live for myself, or it will not be sustainable.
Right. Now, I'm assuming that because so few people know about your attempt and you've shared about that and other related things today with me, they probably don't know you're talking with me right now.
I told my cousin that I was talking with you, but no one else.
All right. Yeah. And I wonder, might they hear it?
I'm planning on sharing the episode maybe to a few close friends if they want to understand better how I'm feeling.
One of the things I've been thinking about more so lately is, and I don't know why, I think one of the guests mentioned it, I thought more about it, was sometimes talking about it with people can be really hard, but maybe hearing 50 minutes of a conversation, whether it's a podcast format or whatever the format is, might be a little easier way to share information with people that you might not feel comfortable talking to, you know?
It is a bit distance from yourself, so you can think about it, you can stop it and listen to it another time. You can...
Exactly. You have a girlfriend, you said?
I had. We broke up like 5 months ago.
All right. Well, that sounds like a really shitty summer.
Yeah.
2022 is not a good summer for Dennis, you know.
Unfortunately not, but
yeah.
Part of life.
Yeah, part of life. Did you get a diagnosis at any point that you agree with?
It was a major depressive episode without psychotic symptoms.
With or without?
Without.
What do you think about that night when you were walking to the sea? I don't know much about this stuff, so I want to be careful here, but does it not sound like it had some psychotic feel to it?
Yeah, right. Dissociation is part of psychotic symptoms. So,
what did your doctor say? I know you have seen a therapist since then.
She told me that it could be related to the drug use. So mixing the two substances, and basically every brain reacts differently. Cannabis is a bit psychedelic, so maybe that's the weird effect that it did.
Yeah, you're right. Every brain is different. You don't know. So you're 22. When's your birthday?
In July.
You gonna make it to 23?
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
I once told my cousin that I would live to see my grandparents die, so they don't have to go through anything of that.
Yeah.
That was when I was majorly depressed. That was the minimum life expectancy of me.
And they're both alive?
Yeah, they're still alive.
Is that still the sort of way you think about it?
At the moment, I don't think so, no. I want to get better. I want to do therapy.
Yeah.
I'm struggling at the moment if I should go to mental hospital again.
Yeah.
Because my training is about to finish in March. So, I'm thinking whether to halt the training and go to the mental hospital or pull through and go after that. It's a bit struggle at the moment.
I assume if Germany is anything like the United States, there's probably nowhere or almost nowhere to go to have a safe, legitimately safe conversation with people who are feeling the way you feel. Like imagine you go to a room somewhere, right? Whether it's in a church or a building, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a bunch of people, a handful of people that just get together and talk about this stuff. Does that exist anywhere that you know of in Bonn or elsewhere in Germany?
Yeah, in big cities, there are people or circles that do that. From the German healthcare firm, I don't know.
So you can talk about suicide.
Yeah, you can do that, but only in big cities and with a lot of funding for things like that. So, and yeah, when you live in a town, basically, there's nothing.
Right. You can talk about it. But I imagine if you're talking about it to the point where it sounds like you're going to do it, will they throw you in a car and take you to a hospital against your will?
Yeah, they will.
So that limits what you can say.
Right. That's a problem here too.
Yeah, I don't have a solution. It's probably a problem everywhere, and I understand that problem. It's a tricky one to deal with, though.
Yeah, you can't just you can't just leave the people, but you taking their freedom is also problematic.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really tricky one. Yeah. Are there any myths that you want to discuss or call bullshit on, as I say, around any of this stuff? Depression, suicide?
Yeah, that's I knew someone from school that killed themselves, and yeah, I heard people around me talking about him like, yeah, he was a coward. That they said he was selfish. He will go to hell. He just wants attention, and I think every aspect of that is bullshit. Fighting with depression is one of the hardest things I think you can do if you don't tell anyone, if you are alone with it.
It feels like a really just a shitty thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't know why people do that. Cowards, right? That's a strong word.
I think people that judge are most of the times more of a coward than people that deal with very serious problems and not make it. The girlfriend of my brother didn't come to me and hold me and take me to her arms. Maybe I'd gone to the sea and never talked to you, and
that's right.
That would be it. Or a car was faster than I expected on my motorcycle, and I hit it at 100 kilometers. And yeah,
I think about that sometimes. The people that almost made it, didn't make it for whatever reason, and I'll never talk to them ever. And some people seem to get by, and I don't know if it was some divine intervention or luck or something else, but she was there.
I was lucky. Yeah.
I mean, some people might say that, some might say otherwise. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, in the moment I was lucky, so I got the help I needed.
Yeah, but you're right. That could have been different. That day on the motorcycle could have been different. You might said you had that one friend that you talked to about this stuff. She gets it. She's kind of been there. I think a friend of yours or a woman.
Yeah, it was a colleague of mine. He was with me in the mental hospital. I can talk to him sometimes, but yeah, we are not that close anymore. My cousin is the person I talk to about this often.
What I wanted to ask is, what is your cousin a man? Is it she or he?
She.
What does she do that, and this might be hard to find the words, I get that, but what does she do that's makes you want to go back to her and talk if you need to, as opposed to others who you probably don't do that with?
She also had a very hard upbringing, so she was a drug addict in middle school and through her puberty. I think she took the drugs also to try to end her life or to get away from her problems, and that perspective helps her to understand me a lot. So she never judges basically anything that I tell her. She doesn't want me to die, or she doesn't want me to feel bad, but if I tell her and let it out, she doesn't judge me. She tries to listen. She has no funny get well tropes to tell me. Which you talked about with the other survivors.
Oh yeah. We don't need any more of those. Do you follow soccer, football?
A bit. I was Bayern Munich fan.
Now the World Cup is coming up next month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Germany has a chance to win it?
I think so, yeah, sure. They are a bit a bit worse than last time, but I think they can do it.
Do you know, when you were about 14 years old, do you remember when they won the World Cup?
Yeah.
Götze scored the one in the extra time. They were playing Argentina. I was living in Argentina. So I was watching Argentina play Germany in Argentina, which was really pretty cool. I was in the capital, Buenos Aires, and obviously rooting for Argentina, right? And I've got to tell you, this has nothing to do with suicide, by the way. I just remember it was just the weirdest thing to come very close to being in the country where you almost win a World Cup and then you lose.
Yeah.
And it was just and I was walking from this place where I was watching it, this like park home, and it was just a very, very strange and a little bit dangerous feeling, like, I don't know how Germans are, but Argentinians, they get really, really intense. Probably everywhere they do.
Yeah, Germans are also very passionate when it comes to football. I love watching my grandpa.
Yeah, he's he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
What else would you like to share, Dennis? Appreciate you reaching out and talking so openly about everything. What else would you like to share, if anything?
I'd like to share to the people out there that they have to find a way to live for themselves, like I try to do, not live for others.
Yeah.
Try to find a reason for yourself to live, not for your family. So, like I said, it may save you, it helps you, but it doesn't help you in the long run. So you have to build your own life. You have to be in line with yourself. You have to trust yourself to become a healthy human being. And I hope that everyone can try to do that.
Yeah.
Become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point, trying to live for not just others, but yourself. But my question for you, and this is going to be a really difficult question, maybe impossible to answer. What if they can't? They're trying, they just can't figure it out.
That's a very hard question, yeah.
Maybe they should email me and hop on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I think everyone should try to use all resources that they have available to them. Try to get better. And if still doesn't work, then maybe live for others. Maybe feel the way you feel shit. It's so hard to say then that.
Do you think, though, that there's ever a situation that somebody's in where taking their own life is acceptable or justifiable?
If you're a completely healthy human being with just mental problems, it's hard to answer. I would say no, but if you have health problems, if you have a short life expectancy or have to live with pain, I think it should be acceptable.
Well, this is my last thought, and I wonder what you think about it. I kind of think it's nobody's business what anybody does with their life. But I know it's suicide. That gets weird. I guess there's no question there. I just felt like saying it.
It's a bit hypocritical to say that you have to live for others. In the end, it's your own life. You may affect with your death, you may affect people around you, but
it's your choice in the end. And look, if you really want to do it, you'll probably try. It's just so complicated because you, of course, don't want somebody like in your case, right? That was a weird night. And not to say that you don't struggle a lot and think about it, but it would kind of suck to die that way when it was part of it was just drugs and alcohol and a weird combination in your brain and chemicals. That would suck. It would suck that, if you own a gun and your wife leaves you but in that moment, boom, you're done. That's probably not what you want, right? Maybe not.
Most of the time it's like with me, impulsive decision that changes lives of you and the ones around you.
Yeah. But if someone's struggling for a long time, whatever that looks like, whatever the reasons are, long time, I don't know. It changes it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
It makes it, I
agree.
How long do you suffer for, really? There's no answer. I wonder about it. And then it makes me think, who am I to say anything? Yeah. That's not me encouraging anybody to do anything, but it's just more like, who am I to say what you should do with your life? But anyway, getting off on a little tangent. All right, my friend, I'll talk to you soon. I really appreciate it again. And I hope you get to play tennis and do your thing and find some joy.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you did too. And have a nice day.
You too, Dennis. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Dennis in Germany. Thank you, Dennis, on this first episode of 2023. If you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to talk, please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com on Facebook or Twitter @suicidenoted. And as always, check the show notes. We've got other ways you can contact us and a handful of programs or initiatives in which we can continue to help more people in more places feel less shitty and less alone. And we would love your help, your support, your participation, something if you want. And hey, if all you do is listen to the podcast every week or once in a while, well, that's good too. That's really good. And that is all for episode number 141. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I'll talk to you soon.